All right. Thanks for joining us today, everybody. We are kind of consolidating some of our prior conversations into one big episode. We really want to hone in on how it is that we personalize the timing and the plan for you. We're going to rapid fire kind of real quick why to buy and when to buy to set the stage for our conversation with Chase this morning. Um, but what we really want to get into is kind of the third segment there where it appears that timing could be really good now. And depending on when you watch this episode, we can talk about whether these opportunities still exist or not. So we'd welcome an opportunity to just kind of chat with you in a little bit deeper detail about your personal objectives in buying a home. So with that, we'll bring on our co-host, Chase Hodgson. How are you, Chase?
Good, Jared. How are you this morning?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I just put this together thinking that we take little bits and pieces we've taken from other episodes and really kind of condense it down into one. Hit some items, why you should be and why you should, excuse me, why you should buy and when you should buy, and then some specific details. So that's kind of the agenda for today. Does
Yeah,
sound in line with where we're at?
yeah, absolutely. Kind of sum it all up now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
like it.
Well, and I figured, depending on where you're at in the time of the year, certainly New Year's resolutions one way to look at this, but really this could be a resolution for home ownership, why you would want to look at buying a home, and then the specifics of how that plays out. So,
hmm
um, you ready for a quick one this time?
Yeah, whatever you say.
Let's jump right into it. Yeah, when I say quick one, we always kind of chuckle because we always stretch quick ones into long ones. But anyway,
Yeah,
with that, let me just do a couple of real quick housekeeping items here, real quick. For those of you that I haven't met, my name is Jerod Lee. I'm the associate broker and team lead here at My Home Connection, also known as MHC Realty. The sponsor for today is actually the perfect home buying process. Now, we've been developing this for now more than 20 years. And what we're going to talk about today is the timing and the plan specific to you, where we have tools, resources, and just valuable information that we want to send to you over the home buying process, reports and podcast series, secrets to know. And then specifically, we'll get into kind of the promotion we have going on now for helping to minimize your costs in the way of credits for your appraisal and your home inspection at closing. So this is going to dovetail into our topic real nicely. But with that, I'll bring Chase back on. Hopefully, I gave him some notice here because usually I click him back on when he's looking away. For whatever reason, I have a bad habit of doing that. So try not
maybe
to
I
do
just
that
need
to
to
you
pay
anymore.
better attention. Maybe that's what it's about.
What's it about? Oh, attention.
Maybe I just need to pay better attention.
No, no, we're when I'm going on about our sponsor and myself, it's easy to get some stuff addressed. Anyway, so really the way that I've mapped this out is kind of just a real quick, why you would buy in the first place. Obviously, if you've owned a home before, some of this stuff is just obvious; it's kind of built in. But for first-time home buyers, I just wanted to chat about these real quick. I think the most overlooked one, I don't know about most overlooked, but often overlooked is wealth accumulation. Um, what's your take on, because your background is in finance, your education and your background. Um, do you recall kind of the current numbers around the percentage of wealth being accumulated by homeowners, certainly as it compares to renters?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact number, right? But like on a national scale, if you look at renters, I believe it's like they're overall as a large group, their wealth is about 11,000.
That's yeah, I saw 10 or 11,000 as the
Yeah,
average wealth for a renter. And I think the average across the country is like 410 or something like
yeah,
410,000. So
yeah. I was
drastic.
thinking just under like 394, 390 something for those that own.
Okay. Yeah. And that can vary, per year, obviously. I
Yeah,
think I was looking at 24, 25 numbers. But anyway, whatever the number is, it's significantly more than renters. And and more of what I was leading up to is if you are accumulating wealth, what percentage of that is in real estate? Obviously there's a stock market and there's, any manner, cryptocurrency, but the percentage of people that are wealthy are the percentage of wealth is in real high percentage of wealth is in real estate for wealthy people.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just an obnoxious number. I think it's like 80, 85%, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, um, it's a really large number, right? Like it's one of, I think, and I think that's the key is really, is just realizing that the people that have generational wealth,
Mm-hmm.
most of them are heavy into real estate in one way, shape, or form, whether it's a REIT, whether it's, something through the stock market, whether it's individual properties, kind of, that's the stability. And it's because real estate offers something that no other investment does, right? It converts your payments into equity, and so, um, so if you look at a $400,000 home, right, and you put 3.5% down, FHA loan, 3.5% down, that's 14,000. So you have a $386,000 loan. Well, you didn't spend that money, right? You're not spending in your payments. You're not spending in your down payment. You're converting it into equity,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, and then, they the I consider appreciation kind of that silent wealth builder, right? So
Yeah.
you're converting your cash into equity, right? Your payments, that doesn't go away, right? It's like a forced savings account. Well, and then, here in Idaho, we're lucky. It's almost always higher, but so in bad years, right? Like the last couple of years have been nearly flat, still 3 to 4% appreciation here,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And so not only are you converting your payments into equity and saving that money, but your home is appreciating. And so, on a standard real estate deal, you're looking at like $114,000 or 114% return on your money, and you can't get that anywhere else.
Yeah, I think that's the good perspective to have, and you said it well. We had a comment on one of our shorts recently that um, they had a slight disagreement with our position on accumulating wealth, and the two things that I responded with is, you know, everybody's basically is going to put money into the roof over their head, whether they're
Mm-hmm.
paying rent or they're paying a mortgage. So that's money that's going out. So the percentage of people that take discretionary money and invest it in something else, you know, the average homeowner, the average person isn't doing a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
But certainly the average homeowner is doing that by virtue of making their payment. And then to your point, the percentage of the amount of out of pocket expense that is appreciating in equity is very significant. Your outlay out of pocket, you're getting a percentage on the value of the home, not on the well, you just did that. You put it on the percentage of your out of pocket money. But I think that's what's missed by a lot of people is just that that forced savings account where you're putting money into an investment where you're not as a renter, and then what that translates to, like we just said, you're talking 400-ish thousand dollars worth of wealth for the average homeowner versus a small fraction of that, 10,000 for the average homeowner. Anyway, I don't want to belabor that one, but I think it's super important. Was there another comment you were thinking on that one?
Yeah, I mean, if you take the same numbers I was using, and you've got that $400,000, you secured that asset, right, for $14,000, right? So
Right.
you're securing an asset worth 400,000 with $14,000 down, right?
Right.
And now,
That's if you put
mirror,
down 3%, which in some
right, and
cases,
three and a
yeah,
half percent, right? And so
yeah,
it if the home appreciates 4% in a year, right, that's $16,000 worth of appreciation. So that literally is 114% return on your initial $14,000,
yeah,
right? There's just not a lot of places you can do that, and it's not without risk, right? Like
right,
everything, there is risk in everything.
yeah,
But historically, if you look, there's very few times, even in recession, where real estate went down. When we've
yeah,
talked about this,
yeah,
everybody remembers 2008 because that's the most recent. But normally in a recession, your real estate goes flat or it just increases slightly. And
Yeah.
then if you look at it long term, and now you look back at 2008, the people that did hold on to their real estate, maybe a little bit longer than they wanted to, but they got a massive return when the market did come back,
Yeah.
right? And so it's just one of those investments that, you know what I mean? Like they're not making any more land. They are building more houses, but like as the population grows and different areas, like it is what it is, right? It's not a
Yeah.
renewable. It's not land is not renewable, and so it's always going to appreciate. And I'll fight with anybody. You might not get the massive overnight returns that you can in a Bitcoin or something like that, but you're not going to have the risk either. And you have to, like you said, everybody's going to invest in a roof over their head. Do you want to return on that money, or do you just want to throw it away?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, speaking of the roof over your head on the financial consistency side, right? We've heard over and over again the client that comes to us and says, "Hey, my landlord, $100 more on my rent, $200 more." I've heard as high as doubling my rent. So, if you're trying to make life plans and thinking that there's some stability, in being a renter, hopefully you've got a good landlord and he or she's gonna stay that way. But if they sell the property or they get an understanding that their values have increased significantly and that they're able to charge more, that could be very painful and very frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, what you're talking about is inflation, right? So when you own, inflation is your friend, right? But when you rent, it's not, right? So
Yeah, well said.
um, it destroys inflation destroys people that are trying to save money, and when you have a home, you have a fixed mortgage payment. The only reason that they change is insurance and taxes.
Right.
Okay, so but also in inflationary times, your income tends to grow. So that disparity, right? Where you're renting, it grows with your income, and when you're owning, right, it grows away from the income.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Does
like
that
that
make
perspective. Yeah. Your HOAs can obviously change too, but they're not nearly as drastic. But as far as like a percentage wise, you're typically not seeing anything near, what a renter landlord situation could result
No,
in.
and it could go the other way too, because right here, I mean, across the valley, property taxes have gone down the last 2 years
Yeah. Yeah.
or the last year, and then they're saying that they're going to go down again this year, right? So that, yeah, I mean, that's a positive for everyone that's owning right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if you look
Well,
at that disparity over a 10-year period, right, of
yeah.
inflationary, right, rent increases and things like that versus owning, that it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Well said. Life event, obviously, if you're renting and now all of a sudden you've got a new baby, coming into the household, or, God forbid you lost a family member or whatever, um, obviously, you're going to need a bigger home or a smaller home. So that would be reasons why you would buy a new property. And then more increasingly, I see this lack of personalization when you're a renter. I've heard horror stories as weird as I can't even hang a picture on my wall, which is right super strange. So, do you want a pet? Do you want a renter?
Right.
Do you want to paint a wall? Do you want to put a garden in your backyard? I don't know. Insert you know preference here, and now you've got to go to your landlord and ask if it's okay. So, obviously, when you buy, personalize your home.
Yeah. Yeah, and um, yeah, I'm big on that. Like, I struggle with somebody because I own my own home and I have ground, and so I have a little space, and I still struggle with the encroachment of other homes, and as it grows, um, and so just the thought of going back to renting and not being able to do anything, no, that's not for me.
I think I saw
I'm
you cringe when I was talking about that stuff.
I'm all about the freedom, man. Like, don't tell me what I'm doing with my property.
Yeah,
So
that's a good word for it. Freedom, lack of freedom when you're renting, or freedom, when you're buying. Freedom for the most part, obviously within boundaries, but
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
so okay. Well, let's keep keep things moving along with when to buy. Obviously, the the perfect home buying process, the perfect plan, that's aspirational stuff. We want to create the perfect process and plan for you, and obviously timing isn't often totally perfect, but we can help you try to get it as perfect for certainly for you as possible, right? And sometimes it has nothing to do with interest rates or pricing. It's just, is it perfect for you and where you're at in your life and what you want to do?
For me, that is always the key, right? Um, is it the right time for you and your family financially? And are you ready? Are you ready to make that move? Like that to me, all the other items can be dealt with, right? But getting ready to buy and is it the right time for you? Um, we've had over the last couple of years, right? Interest rates have been higher,
Mm-hmm.
and that phrase, which I hate even saying, date the rate, marry the house, right? Like,
Yeah.
you get in at a higher rate, and then you can refinance later, but you miss out on the appreciation, like we just talked about, and you can never go back and buy at that price,
Right.
right? And so that's the thing, right? Like, so there are some things you want to think about. Um, tax season, people get money back, household down payment, closing costs. Like there are those things, but that should not be the end all be all. It's really, are you ready?
Yeah, I think that's the overarching or the main question you should be asking is with my life, with my lifestyle, with my family, my career, my recreation, whatever it is, does it make sense to be a homeowner? And then we try to align the other things as best we can, right? In your example about pricing, post COVID, we had a correction, an adjustment, whatever you want to call it. It certainly wasn't a crash, but now having the market corrected,
Mm-hmm.
it's been a good time to buy. Like prices have adjusted.
Yep.
Certainly in our market and other markets, especially with ones that appreciated very quickly during COVID. So if you wait too long for your interest rate to go down and now pricing is going up, um, you know, what did you do, right? You waited till pricing went up to get a better interest rate. We've talked about
Yeah.
that ad nauseum, but
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, and like I just touched on, yeah, pricing is settled back to the normal level, right? It's definitely nowhere near crash. Not what people were saying was going to happen, like after 2008. Um, but pricing has gone down. The rates have been slow to come down, which is actually what we want. We want
yeah,
a nice stable decline, right? Volatility one way or the other is not good for the economy. We need to, let it correct it at the proper pace,
yeah,
right? So that we have a stable buying and selling environment. But um, to your point, like if now if you wait, right? 'Cause, well, the prices are down, but the rates aren't there. Well, I'm here to tell you, as rates come down, it's going to increase demand, and that's like the most simplest economic, theory of all is just supply and demand,
yeah,
right? More buyers come into the market, higher demand, um, in and across the nation. I'm sure everybody's hearing the same thing. Like we are behind in the amount of houses that we need. I've heard 1 to 2 million
yeah,
homes nationally that we're behind on
yeah,
what the need is. And so, yeah, what happens when more buyers come, right?
yeah.
Where do prices go at that point? Now you've missed that opportunity again.
Yeah, we've talked about the reduction in interest rate and the amount of buyers that come into the market. And with that low of an inventory already, and so many buyers already kind of waiting around, and now they can either buy more or get into the market. With that low of inventory, it's not going to take but a moment in time for the values to go up. And now you're frustrated because the pricing went up and, interest rates are kind of where they're at. So the point is, um, buy when you're ready at the price of the market, and that'll
Yeah.
be the price. If interest rates are high, there will be an opportunity, potentially, there will be an opportunity to refinance and adjust rate later, which is
Yep.
then, obviously you're qualified at the higher rate. So now things should just be, you know, even better for you financially. So
Yep.
Anyway, so timing. Let us help you with the timing. Right now, with the adjustment, with the correction, there's a shift towards the buyer's market. Right, during COVID times and other times in history, it's been more of a seller market where they call all the shots. Right, pricing, terms, things like that. It's kind of you buy as the seller would have you buy, but now we have the ability to ask for things for the buyer, right? Reduction in price,
Yeah.
seller
Oh,
concessions. What's that?
oh, it's just so much better. I was just, yeah,
Yeah,
just backing up your point. Like it's the buyers I'm working with right now are it's such a better position negotiation wise and getting what they want, and contingent offers are being accepted again. It's just it's a good market for buyers. It really
yeah,
is.
yeah. If you have a home, they'll, like they're more likely to accept a contingent home offer. If you need, all closing costs or some closing costs, sellers are more apt to pay for that, right? So you either don't have the money to take out of pocket, so you can't buy, or you want to minimize the amount of money out of pocket, get that from the seller. If you're still not liking interest rates, which are interesting because they're below the historical national average anyway, we can ask the seller for a rate buy down and get your rate lessened so you don't have to potentially refi later, or you can. But my point is, you've got a lot more leverage as a buyer in this market.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, and again, like as people come back, that'll be the first thing that goes away, right? Is that
Right.
it, is that solid ground that you have and strength on the buying side, with concessions and everything else like that, that'll be the first thing that goes away.
Yeah.
Um, and they, builders in the valley, they aren't softening prices, they're giving concessions because they want to hold those price points, and those aren't going away. And you'll see the concessions go away, then you'll start to see the price increases.
Yeah, yeah. So, new construction versus resell. Builders don't want to adjust price because it could potentially impact their comps and other homes around it. So that's how we would approach that. Ask for seller concession either in rate buy down or help with closing costs. So
Mhm.
we can do that now. I'm venturing to guess by late spring, midsummer, everything you're talking about will either be significantly minimized or go away. So if
Yeah.
you needed that help with closing costs, or you wanted to buy more home, so buying your rate down would help you do that. I think that's either going to go away and you might not be in the home buying market, or your purchasing power could be reduced significantly.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And there's still ways around the rate, like whether it's temporary buy downs or, like you said, seller concessions helping with that. There's ways to make it manageable in the meantime. But it's worth taking a look. It's worth seeing if it's your time or not. I mean, everybody talks about life hacks or whatever right now, like that, like looking at real estate. Um, if the interest rate's too high, the payment's too high, look at a duplex, right?
Yeah,
If you can get into a duplex and you can live in one side and rent the other side out for 1,800 to $2,000, I mean that could cover 50 to 70% of your own payment,
yeah.
right? There's creative ways to get in it and get started and actually start to build wealth.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk about, and you touched on this earlier, tax season. For those of you that are self-employed, certainly before you file your taxes, I'm sure Chase would rather talk to you not having filed your taxes than have. And we've spent a lot of time on this in prior episodes. So please reach out sooner than later on that. And then of course, even non-self-employed, if you're just getting any money back on a return or what have you, that's potentially monies that you could, use towards purchasing a home. So timing of the time of the year could be better. And now I want to get into the specifics that we've already kind of been going through, but in detail. So right now, as I mentioned in our sponsorship segment here, for inspection, we're a huge proponent of having inspection, whether it's a new construction home or a resale. Um, and we want to help with the credit up to $500 for your inspection on either one of those, um, so that you can have a high degree of confidence in the home that you're buying. You're having that third party inspector on your behalf look at the property. and then on the lender side, at closing, up to $500 on your appraisal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and just look at that graphic right there. Like, I mean, when was the last time we could do that, right? Like, I mean, obviously we can always help with our credits, but yeah, where you can get help from the seller with closing costs or rate buy down, like that's just yeah, it's a great opportunity. That is a definite benefit right there.
Yeah, between just closing costs alone, you're talking thousands, if not more than tens of thousands of dollars. On your rate down, you're easily talking in probably in the 10, 15, 20 range, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. So, none of this is insignificant and not going to last forever. So, if you're at all thinking about home buying, let's talk about your overall financial strategy, your goals, your objectives, how we can bring these, I guess I'll just call them incentives or, encouraging factors, helpful factors to help you buy a home before they start going away. And then the conversation is, hey, man, I'd love to have talked to you 6 months ago because I would have had some things to help you with buying, but it's just not that time of the market.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be an interesting spring because I do believe that's where we're heading, and it seems like everybody else does too. So um, yeah, it could get super busy, which is great for us. But yeah, if you're on the bubble, it's definitely time to get off the fence and start making decisions and finding out if it's time for you or not.
Well, even in kind of our normal market and time of the year, we see these concessions come and go, right? Builders start building inventory. They've got subs, they got some timelines, and then specifically in our market, things kind of slow enough that we often see the builders throw out these concessions and promotions in the winter, and then most years they disappear, mid to late spring because now the demand has picked up, right? People are looking at homes because their kids are getting out of school and the weather's improving. Um, so even in a normal year, these are kind of going away. But what I see is, with a trending in interest rates lowering, with the demand that we see online, right? Because we get visibility to how many people are viewing homes online. Then we start to see the foot traffic going through the homes, and when that picks up, so we see, or those, kind of in our open houses or even through buyers agents bringing people through these homes, we see pretty early on as this demand picks up, and most often builders aren't overextending, certainly since the '08 mortgage meltdown, in their inventory. Like, few are going out and building way more homes than we need, right? They're building kind of still conservatively.
Hmm.
So that means that those concessions go away sooner than later, um, because their inventory is being consumed at a rate that's acceptable to them, and promotions
Yeah,
are unnecessary.
yeah, and man, I honestly I like a January, or I mean I like a December, purchase, getting under contract, because you get to take advantage of all the best things. Like right now, with the market that we're in, right, there's already seller concessions, but then you add winter onto it, and builders go through taxes as well,
Yeah.
right, and they're trying to get a lot of they're trying to get what inventory they have left off their books before the end of the season, and
Yeah.
so there's usually additional incentives this time of year. Yeah, there's definitely certain times of the year where you can capture a lot more than others
Yeah.
as a buyer.
Yeah. I just got in contract this weekend for a buy sell, and these clients are going to double dip. They got into contract on a new construction build. It's going to take them about 7 or 8 months to build. So they got good pricing on the home with an incentive that they're buying. And then we'll wait a couple of months. We'll put their current home on the market that's in the area,
Mm.
hopefully positioned just at the right time where demand's picking up, and we can, hit kind of the sweet spot when they sell their home. So, you know, um, that's in a perfect world, but that's a great strategy, and I think they'll come out looking pretty good in this scenario.
Yeah, I love it. Love it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good example to wrap up the episode with. Hopefully, everybody's gotten a much better idea of what our process looks like to help you buy a home, how we can help you plan out specifically for your personal needs and objectives on timing and leveraging some of these promotions and concessions. So feel free to reach out to us for that no obligation consultation. We'd be glad to help. Other than that, thanks so much, Chase. Appreciate you coming on and sharing your wisdom.
Absolutely. Always enjoy it, Jerod. Always enjoy it.
Awesome. All right. Other than that, guys, we'll wish everybody a blessed one. Take care.
Take care.